tons of stickers down here.
Stickers on the front table. Everybody wants a sticker.
Stickers? I managed to score a piece off. Like, I walked in and I sat down and like, I was right in front. Rebecca was laying out right there.
I was saying I stole some of the notes for stickers yesterday.
Well, and then I scooped probably Mario at the party last time. It's like,
Guess I'll be doing your card.
Okay, sounds good.
Give a bottle of water and all that good jazz.
I do. Yes, thank you.
Track William down real quick and.
your talk title is going to be interesting. Let's sit here and see what you have to say.
Okay, sounds good.
And it's the only talk I don't think that I have any idea exactly what it's going to be about.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess we'll find out here in a second.
Well, I mean, again, I think you would have to bring it out.
Jason, they are almost drafted stacked up.
I looked at some of them during.
Yeah. So they're going to lead on that. Like, I'm going to meet up with them and help with anything. But they're adding stuff from John and all that. To spend it, I think.
Sure, thank you.
Community members. Solving right. I mean, you were here. Sure. Well, but the thing was the first thing.
Right, I had the packet. So, oh yeah, that is actually pretty cool.
That's great.
So did you have
Maybe just, yeah, I think you can stand a bit back and still pick me up. Yeah, good.
Oh, yes. Yep, I'll keep it on. It's a talk about legacy codification.
One can be local.
Okay.
Now it's
Okay. Oh, it's 10:50.
Yeah, it's like 5 minutes between each people.
Yeah, that is not enough.
Yeah, exactly. It's really sort of time crunchy.
Awesome, but it's awesome now.
But this is community and all that. Just being a part of benefiting from it, it's an awesome thing.
Yeah. Well, even like kind of wait for 4 years, I feel like
All right.
things at the geek parties encourage cross-pollination, which is great. We set the stage for that.
Okay, who's ready to laugh?
Get out.
All right, we all good to go?
Yep.
Good to go. All right, so my name's Ed Finkler. I don't have a lot of time. Sometimes I gave this talk once, it was an hour and a half. I think I have 10 minutes. So, also I'm wearing a suit. This is notable. Since I drove down, I was able to dress up a little. So, thank you. Thank you very much for all your applause about how much being a jackass. Okay, so this is a talk, open source mental illness. This is the, a couple people have asked, well, what's that about? What are you going to talk about? And I don't know, I thought there was a description, but you know, I guess it's cool. What it's going to be about is about mental health and mental illness, and how I've dealt with it, and how I've dealt with it in the context of being a developer, and how we deal with it in the context of the tech workplace. So that's what you're going to learn about today. Hopefully learn or find something about it. Anyway, my name's Ed Finkler. Funktron is my Twitter handle. You can go to funktron.com and look at stuff. And I've recorded this 14 different times when I've given this talk before, and it has changed a fair bit over it. So if you were seeing an early version of this, this is going to be somewhat different. But if you ever want to see it, you go to funktron.com. I archive every one of these. They're all CC licensed. You can share them all. Go to town. Anyway, so who am I? Well, I'm a dad, I'm a husband, and I'm an occasional musician. I'm kind of a big nerdy type. I'm into movies and TV shows and stuff like that. A lot of things are kind of cool about that sort of stereotypical nerd culture stuff. I also have a mental illness, and actually I have a couple. They call that comorbidity, which means, sounds like you're going to be killed in 2 different ways. But what it really means is you just have 2 diagnoses. You have 2 different things that are going on, and that's super common. Now, I'm just a person. Well, I guess everybody's just a person. But I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not qualified to tell you what to do. You should not listen to anybody who tells you what to do, how to solve these kinds of problems, who is not qualified in such a way. I am certified in mental health first aid, so I can help people, find help, basically. But I am not qualified to diagnose people or things like that. But I'm here to talk about what it's like to have a mental illness. And from my perspective as a developer, my perspective as a person who participates in common tech workplaces, and also talk about that, sort of how things affect us as a whole. So I want to do a real quick informal survey. How many of you have some sort of corrective lens thing going on? Like you wear contacts, you wear glasses, or things like that. There are several people who have not raised their hands. Apparently there's pretty good genes around this group, which is pretty good. Last time I did this, everybody raised their hand. I'm curious about how many people of you are afraid, how many of you got to raise your hand or not. If you don't participate, you're going to have to leave, you understand? So, how many people here are afraid to tell someone that they have to wear corrective lenses? Oh, that's weird, okay. So your eye disorder, we might call it, you're not afraid to talk about that you need assistance to deal with that. And you need assistance all the time to deal with that. There's no way around that. So have you ever had anybody say, I can't see without my glasses or my contacts, things like that. And I said, are you trying hard enough? Maybe you should try harder. Or have they ever said, have you tried squinting? Or something like that, to just kind of power through it, Has anyone ever done that? And raise your hand if anyone's ever told you to squint harder. Okay, a couple people have. Yes, well, those people were dumb. Now, I have a father and I have a brother who both have type 2 diabetes. So that means that I probably am going to get it too. I really hope I don't. But I really like sugar. So I'm cool with talking about it. I'm curious. I want you to raise your hand if you would be comfortable talking about that with somebody you knew fairly well, somebody you worked with. Say you had diabetes. You got to raise your hand. If you don't raise your hand, you have to leave. Okay, no, that's not true. Okay, so raise your hand if you actually want to answer. So most of you comfortable. Diabetes is a thing that is an ongoing problem. It is treatable. It is something that we know how to treat. It is not something we know how to cure, but we know how to treat it so that people can live a relatively normal life. That's interesting. Okay, so I have a brother, actually the same brother who has type 2 diabetes. He also has cancer, and he is on his second round of treatments from that because it showed up again, and that really sucks. And that is not fun and hard to deal with and a lot of stuff. But I'm curious to know if you had a sibling or you yourself found out you had cancer and you were talking, and would you be afraid to talk about it if it came up? Not that you would be like, hey buddy, I just mentioned, by the way, I have cancer. So you might not do that. But would you be afraid to discuss that if somebody asked you about it or you expressed that? Raise your hand if you would be cool with talking about that in the context of like somebody you knew fairly well. Okay, most of you, so that's very interesting. Now I'm curious, you don't have to say you have one, you don't have to say anything about this. Let's just imagine how many of you would feel comfortable talking with, say somebody you knew fairly well, you worked with quite a bit, maybe your boss, maybe a colleague, something like that, just imagine that in your head. How many of you would feel comfortable talking about a mental health issue? So I would say 20%, 20%, let's say. That's a big difference. That's pretty interesting. How about a friend or family member? Would you feel a little more comfortable talking about that? So a few more people, maybe half the folks in here. So that's really interesting. So how does this stuff affect us? 1 in 5 adults in the US have a mental disorder in any 1 year. That's 20% of the people. 20% of the people in this room are dealing with it right now, let's say. Maybe higher, maybe a little bit lower. There's a lot of people dealing with it. Anxiety disorders are the most common. That's one of the things I deal with. I have a generalized anxiety disorder, and that's one of the things I struggle with. We talk about something, level of disability, and that's something that comes up in this World Health Organization study that was done in 2004, which I'll talk a little bit about. But they made some comparisons between the level of disability you have with certain mental health disorders and comparing that to physical health disorders, because oftentimes the correlation isn't really strong. The way that we think about a mental health issue is not the same way we think about a physical health issue. But if we talk about the level of disability, how it impacts your ability to, say, get around in society normally. That moderate depression, they said, was similar to multiple sclerosis or severe asthma. Severe depression is similar to quadriplegia and the impact it has, not just on your thinking, but on the one, choices you make, two, your ability to physically do things. There's this idea that the World Health Organization has studied global burden of disease. And disease burden, and they come up with this metric. It's essentially premature death plus years lived with a disability. And in North America, the burden of mental health disorders is the largest of all disorder categories. It is higher than cardiovascular disease. It is higher than cancer. Fewer people die directly from a mental health disorder, but far more people are disabled by it. Here's a quote from the study. In all regions, neuropsychiatric conditions, this is everywhere in the world, in all regions, neuropsychiatric conditions are the most important causes of disability, accounting for around 1/3 of years lost to disability among adults aged 15 and over. Think about that in the context of how we discuss it, and how we're afraid to talk about it. How most people wouldn't bring it up. Think about that. So my diagnoses, I talked about that I'm comorbid. I'm just morbid generally, but I have comorbidity. I have generalized anxiety disorder, and I have adult ADHD. I say it was just ADD, and then the other day my therapist said, yeah, ADD. I was saying ADD, and she said, yeah, you're ADHD, and I was like, what? And she said, I was like, I keep saying ADHD. Is that on my, what's on this thing? You think I have ADHD? Really? It's like, yep, that's what's on your chart. And I was like, why? And he said, well, because of your intensity of emotion, your impulsiveness, and stuff like that. So now apparently I have ADHD, not just ADD. One of the things that's interesting is that we think of ADHD, we think of a little kid who can't stop running around. That is only one way that ADHD manifests. It has other ways of doing that too. A lot of things are intensity of emotion and impulsivity, and those things also are forms of ADHD. At least that's it's classified. I take some medication. I take 4 primary medications to deal with mental health issues. I take Lexapro, which is an SSRI. It is in the same category as Prozac. Probably everybody's heard of Prozac. It's been around a long time. It's a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. Buspar, which is an anti-anxiety medication. It also seems to help with SSRI, seems to increase their effectiveness. I'll say a lot of times seems, and if you look up stuff about like how do these things work, they'll say it seems to do this. That's because we don't really understand how. We have a very, very rough understanding of how neurotransmitters and things like that work and how they work in concert with psychological disorders. So a lot of this stuff is, I don't know, we gave it to this thing, we gave it to a bunch of mice, it didn't kill them and seemed to help some stuff, so eventually we'll give it to humans. It doesn't seem to kill most of them, seems to help some of them. All right, let's get it on. But generally, you know, and it's weird because different stuff affects people differently. Strattera is an ADD medication. It's the only thing, at least on the market that I know of in the U.S., that's not an amphetamine. I take it because giving speed to someone with an anxiety disorder is not a great idea. But basically, everything else that you would take for ADD or ADHD is an amphetamine of different kinds. So you just find out. And that's why people like to take it to study for tests and stuff, because speed is good for that. I'm not recommending that you do that. I am not a doctor. And then Klonopin is a tranquilizer. It's similar to Xanax, or other things you've heard of. I take Klonopin. I take it on an as-needed basis, but you know, that's stuff I take. I also see a therapist every 2 weeks. So I have a psychiatrist who I talk to about medication. I have a 15-minute appointment about every 3 months. Everything works out fine. Say, hey, how you doing? Doing pretty good. Not doing so good. Stuff like that. We talk about those things. But then really the work that I do is primarily with my therapist and talking about like why I do the things that I do, how they impact the people around me, and I come up with strategies to address those things so I can have better behaviors. Especially with people with anxiety disorders, that's a really common thing, and you can have some good effectiveness in your, I don't know, efficacy, let's say that. Yeah, that's a good word. You can have a lot of efficacy. A lot of efficacy. It can be pretty effective to do things like they'll talk about cognitive behavior therapy or things like that, essentially trying to retrain your brain. A lot of the problems with anxiety disorders is, at least for me, what I have is that I have a fear response, which I get into here for a minute, and talk about what it's like. So one of the things that's interesting is that people who have a mental health disorder or mental illness, as some people call them, we don't present as sick. So you look at me, and probably people, they might notice that right now I'm being a little bit hyperactive, and I'm kind of hyped up about doing this stuff and things like that. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's like, oh, you are classified as you have ADHD, yes, and you have a generalized anxiety disorder, because you don't really present that way. For one reason or another, we don't do that. I don't hobble around because of something like that. I don't have a limp in my gait. I don't have a bunch of different things that would show up. I don't look sick. And there are people, I guarantee you, in this room right now who are suffering from these things, and they don't look sick, and you probably wouldn't recognize it. You recognize it based on behavior and the things that they choose to express. So that's the thing. We don't present as sick. There's this quote I saw the other day, is Ernest Hemingway from Farewell to Arms. And the quote is, that's a quote, the line from it, is that you are so brave and quiet, I forget that you are suffering. And most people don't ever express those things. They don't express how they're suffering inside. For a bunch of different reasons. So I have anxiety. I have a lot of anxiety. And really what happens is that things that would normally not trigger reactions in most people do trigger a reaction in me. They trigger a fear response in me. So what happens is On something that is not appropriate, I will have, my brain will tell my body to flood itself with things like adrenaline, and I can't think of that other stress thing. There's another hormone I can't think of that basically, but it floods your system, and it's the same kind of thing that you deal with. Like, this is particularly useful. You can think of it in evolutionary terms. If you were being chased by a lion, there's a bunch of things that would kick in that would help you get away. You would be like, I'm either going to kick the shit out of this lion, or I'm going to run as fast as hell as I can to get away from this, and I'm going to defend myself in whatever way is possible. Totally appropriate when you're maybe getting eaten, or somebody's sticking a gun in your face, or something horrible like that. Not appropriate if somebody says, hey, we're going to have a company retreat, and it turns out we're going to go to Iceland. That happened to me once. We didn't actually go to Iceland. I found it at a meeting, we were talking about going to Iceland. Everyone's like, that sounds really cool. And I almost started crying in the middle of the meeting because I had a panic attack. Because I am terrified of being in situations where I don't understand how I'm supposed to behave. Especially social etiquette things, stuff like that. I don't feel comfortable in that. And the reaction I have is very strong. Very strong. The kind of strong where you're like, I need to leave right now. Maybe I need to quit my job. Maybe I need to do whatever is possible to protect myself, to get away from this thing. That's the reaction that I have. And I have reactions like that. On a good month, maybe I'll only have it 2 or 3 times. On a bad month, I might have it 2 or 3 times a week. And the big challenge for me is figuring out how to not have those reactions, and when I do, how to stop it. And it is very hard. It is very hard. I used to have IBS. That was an awesome feedback loop, because you think that, oh, I've got cramps in my stomach, maybe I need to take a crap, and I'm not around a bathroom, I'm in a car, and we're out in the middle of nowhere. And then you start getting scared, and you start sweating, and your blood starts, you turn pale. Well, those are all manifestations of being freaked out. And of course, one of the things that happens is when you get really scared, for a lot of people, it also manifests in gastrointestinal stuff, like that muscle, the peristaltic reactions and things, like basically your insides start going like that, and then squeezing you sort of like a Pillsbury Doughboy, well, that has happened to me many times. Luckily, I don't have to deal with that anymore, but it was bad enough that probably between the ages of 18 and 28 or 9, I was afraid to oftentimes drive more than, say, 15 minutes, or get on a plane. Oh God, this shit was terrifying. I was really, really freaked out. Always wondering where the bathroom is, checking it out. Oh, is there a bathroom? How many bathrooms are there? What will happen if somebody's in there and I really have to go? Stuff like that comes up. I hate the idea of taking public transportation because I don't understand it. Some people are like, that is ridiculous, it's so cool, you just get on there, and things like that. Well, that's not the reaction that I have. And I know it's not logical. There's a big difference between what I know. What I know is, no, it's not logical, what's the big deal? You just, I don't know, you get on there and think, get on it, and you give them some money, probably, or not, and if you're confused, you just ask a question, and that's fine. That's what I know. What I believe is, sometimes I can't even explain the scenario, but the idea of being up there and not knowing what I'm doing is fucking terrifying. Terrifying and crippling and disabling. And that's a really, really unfun place to be. And one of the things that goes along with this anxiety and the ADHD that I have is I have this really strong intensity of emotion that things tend to, I will change, my emotions will change very fast, certain triggers will be like, and a lot of times when it's really bad, it's like a wave. And when that fear response kicks in, or that, that stuff kicks in, it's like I don't know how to stop it, and I have to kind of ride it out. And the worst part is that stuff feels like it can make your best friends and people who you love and care about, and that are good people, know that care about you, it can make them seem like enemies. And it can make everything that you enjoy seem useless and empty and abandonable, and you just want to end it all. And, somebody who was talking about ADHD and people with personalities a little bit like mine, said our emotions are close to the surface and hence the impulsivity. I am constantly dealing with that. I'm dealing with, I was dealing with that while the previous speaker was sitting here, and I walked in and there was not a clear path to where to sit because I can't slip behind that desk. And so the only thing I knew, because I did not want to walk up in front of people because I was very embarrassed to do that, was I stood there against the wall and hoped that nobody paid any attention to me. And I was very, very conscious of every single thing I did. And I know that is not the way to live a happy life, but that is how it is for me. I have a lot of problems focusing, that's not surprising. I have attention deficit disorder, my medication helps a lot, but oftentimes what I do is I jump from thing to thing real quickly. It varies, some days I'm better than others. Now on medication I might have sort of a bad day. It used to be I might have a bad 2 weeks where I didn't get any work done because I was just jumping from one thing to another, and it's a lot easier to just read an RSS reader thing than instead of messing around on Twitter or Facebook and checking the cycle over and over and over, instead of just actually doing your work, which is less interesting, so I don't want to do the work. When I was in school, I had tons of problems with that. I wasn't diagnosed with ADHD until I was 27. So in high school and college, I had massive problems. I basically did not know how to memorize things, which is hard when you take German. It was very difficult for me, very difficult for me, because I did not want to do it, and it was very, very hard to make myself do it. It was incredibly frustrating. I have spiraling change of thought, and one of the things is that it's very easy for me to get from one place where something triggers me, or like sort of a negative thing, it starts with that negative thing in my head, and I'll construct a negative outcome very quickly. This happened to me just a couple weekends, just this weekend. Found out we were changing medical insurance plans. I work at a small company, I work remotely, they have to kind of change things around a lot to try to find good medical plans. Honestly, the company is great. They pay all my medical insurance premiums. It is wonderful. Most of the places I recently was looking for a new job, most of the places didn't even offer medical, right? You know, I had good salaries, did not offer medical of any kind whatsoever. This place does. Great, they're working really hard. I know that they do this stuff. I know that they work hard to try to find out. I know a lot of the people there, it's not like a startup culture. There's a lot of people there with families, a lot of people who are old people like me. And so they're very conscious that that's actually something that matters to a lot of people. So what I found out was, oh, we're changing our insurance plans. Immediately went into this place, I'm going to lose my coverage. Oh my God, what's going on? I don't know. Everything seems like it's in flux. I'm totally overwhelmed. At least 2 times within that afternoon where I found out about it, I almost started crying in public. And that really, really sucked because I had a panic attack because of that. Now it's not as if that wouldn't be a stressful thing for a sort of what you call neurotypical or a baseline kind of person. That is kind of stressful. But I had a very extreme reaction, and a reaction to the point where I couldn't be productive. I couldn't be, not proactive is exactly the right word. It was very difficult for me to take positive steps to deal with the issues that were going on. Because that intensity of emotion and that fear response interfered so deeply with thinking clearly about what I needed to do. So, and despite all evidence to the contrary, me knowing that these folks do a good job and work hard at making sure everybody's taken care of, knowing that there's resources available to me, all these things, I know all the evidence to the contrary, but it doesn't matter because I'm having this response. And what's happening is, yes, I have all this evidence here, and my logical brain says yes, but there are parts of, I don't know, my reptilian brain or whatever, the thing that's generating this fear response that are screaming at me and saying, you should be scared right now, do something. And that is really what it's like. It's hard to describe, but that's what it feels like. I tend to obsess on negative events. I am still thinking about the things that happened this weekend. I am embarrassed about what happened, and that will take me a little bit to deal with. I used to have problems with, I remember there was a thing in 3rd grade where I didn't turn in a spelling notebook at the end of the year that I was supposed to do because it was mostly homework based, and as you know, I don't know if you know, but kids with ADD or ADHD often have problems with doing that kind of rote work, it's very frustrating for them. And I just didn't do it. And at that point in school, I was also capable of basically, I could always come up with good answers, particularly in things like English and spelling and stuff like that, because I was good at it. I was raised in a family where they really worked hard on that, and I had 8 brothers and sisters all older than me, so I could read really early and stuff like that. And that I basically was able to sort of like, I just knew enough to get through, and so I didn't really have to work at it in elementary school. But I remember it was super embarrassing. I was super freaked out, and I ended up like not turning out, and I thought it was going to be the end of the world. And this was in 3rd grade. And I remember 4 years later, like when I was an adult, I still felt guilty about it. Still felt guilty about it that long later. Couldn't let go of it. I have real trouble letting go of that pain and hurt in the past, and things that, like, say, heaven forbid, something, you know, I know this will surprise everybody, but occasionally we have conflict within the tech community, and people disagree with each other. Sometimes they disagree vehemently about things, and I'll be straightforward. Sometimes they can be total dicks about it. Sometimes. And oftentimes, if I've had a disagreement or some kind of conflict like that, I can't let go of that. And what it is I carry that pain with me, and I carry that pain with me everywhere I go. It is very difficult for me to let it go. To the point where seeing that person's name in a Twitter feed or something like that puts me in a bad place. Can crater my day, to use a metaphor. And I have to, not from their fault, because I don't think that the way that they acted, maybe I would disagree with how they acted in that moment, but I don't think they did something that would require it, where my reaction is reasonable. But I have to block them and mute them and totally, and I don't want to ever see what's there because it triggers me so badly. And that's really uncomfortable. It's really limiting, right? You know, that's really not fun. And the worst part was, and this is why I talk about this stuff, for the longest time I felt like I was the only person who was like this. I didn't see other people who were like it. You didn't talk about it. You didn't talk about it in school. My parents, you never love my parents. We never talked about this stuff, really. Very quiet and stoic, and I thought I was the only person who dealt with this. And when you feel like that, like I think a lot of people do because we don't talk about this stuff, you feel like there's just something wrong with you, and it's never going to be okay, and it's never going to be right. And you feel like you're the only person out there who's like this, and everyone else seems to be able to be okay, and they seem to be able to get through life okay, and why am I worried about this stuff? You know, why do I have this problem? Why do I keep running into these issues? And I many times in my life, felt like I was simply made wrong and could not cope in normal society. And that, you can be in a room full of people and be completely alone, and be completely lonely, and be separated because you don't feel like people really understand you or relate to you. And that's a very difficult thing for most people to be in, because I tend to think that we're social creatures and we need social support. And oftentimes for me, that's led to things like suicidal thoughts or self-mutilation. I have done some things like that. Most of the time for me, the mutilation stuff was an attempt to express how I felt, because I didn't know any other way to express it. Because I didn't know appropriate ways to express it, to help people to get it out. I don't know. I don't know why other people do it exactly. I haven't really studied that. That's not my bag. But that's why I did that. Sometimes I have issues with suicidal ideation. The only times I've ever actually looked at, maybe attempted, was in situations where my emotions were incredibly intense. And that's how screwed up it can get, is because it makes you think that maybe that is the solution, even though you really know it's not. At least for me, that was what it was like. But oftentimes extreme stress brings on that ideation. Not that I feel like I'm going to do something, but ideation where you think about doing things, and you think about it over and over and over, and you can't get it out of your head. And that is really, really rough. That is really demoralizing and really rough. But I think there's some things we can do about that, and we'll push through this. As a developer, the interesting thing is that the things that with my brain that are problems and that are issues also, the same way, are positives too in some ways. That I'm really good at pattern matching. Like most people's brains are great pattern matching machines. And I'm really good at that, and I make connections really quickly. I'm not necessarily a person who comes up with like brand new ideas that well, but I take existing patterns and I can make connections between things and see how to apply things quickly. I'm really good at that, and that's the part of my brain that's really good at constructing negative scenarios is also really good at doing this. It is the exact same thing. I'm really good at anticipating potential outcomes quickly, like particularly find things like security issues or things like that. I'm not a security expert, but what I am is I'm pretty good at saying, oh, well, this has been an issue here, so if we do things this way, that leaves open a possibility that it could filter down into here, and we have an issue down here. I think that, and I think it had a lot to do with the fact that I'm constantly sort of dealing with my emotions and dealing with this kind of stuff that I feel like I'm pretty good at being empathetic and supportive with colleagues and other people. I get a lot of reward of helping others. If you care at all or believe that the Myers-Briggs tests are anything more than astrology, some people, I keep taking it, it says I'm an INFJ. I don't really, sure, whatever. And the other thing that goes along with that is I feel like I have a lot of empathy for users. I do a whole other talk that talks about what makes a great developer, and then talk about tech stuff, and talks about non-tech stuff. And that's a big part of it, is being empathetic for the people who are actually going to use your product, because that's what matters. We don't build this stuff just as an academic exercise. Empathy for users is incredibly important, and I think that is one of the things that comes from having the brain that I have. And I'm lucky in that respect. So it's very two-sided. There's great things that come out of it, bad things that come out of it. Now, some of my experiences is to change a little bit. Dealing with interviewing, and we'll talk about this a little bit, but a lot of people, what I found is when I get feedback on this talk, people are scared to talk about mental health when they're dealing with interviews. And how do you bring it up directly, indirectly? Now, I'm in a great position because I can go and say, because enough people have heard me talk about this stuff, and I'm a loud enough braggart about it to say, look, it's very obvious that I talk about these things all the time. I tell people that I have mental health issues. If you do any research whatsoever and you look up my name on anything, you will find that I'm talking about this stuff. So it's not going to be a surprise if I say, hey, dude, I deal with this stuff, so I want to hear how you deal with this stuff before I go into a job. I'm also very lucky in the respect that I have people who come to me, like if I say, hey, I'm looking for a new gig, and I just talk about that a little bit, people come to me. The vast majority of people don't get to do that, particularly outside of tech, because I know it might be a surprise, but we're one of the only industries where there is that's the case, where they feel like, oh, there is a great demand for having skilled labor, and there's demand far exceeds supply in those respects. That is not the way that it is in most of what I'd like to call the real world, and we are very blessed in that respect. I'm particularly blessed in the respect that a lot of people for some reason want to talk to me about jobs. I don't know, at school, I guess that's fine. I didn't really try to do that, but it worked out. So that's cool. I guess talk to me later about job advice, which will be, I don't know. Anyway, but managers and bosses, one of the things I want to emphasize, how many people here lead a team, do any kind of supervisory role, anything like that? Please raise your hands if you do. So you have a massive impact on the quality of life of the people who work with you and that you manage. Massive. So the managers and the bosses who I work with, in general, have been really understanding, have tried to be understanding and tried to accommodate the things that I go through. And that has made a huge impact on my quality of life. Massive impact. So I'll go through some stuff here about kind of making your workplace safe. I know I don't have a ton of time left. But I did a survey, I put it together, and there was some problems with it because I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I did a mental health and tech survey and tried to get some stuff back. I asked a bunch of questions. Now, this is filtered out, whereas it's only people in the US, and it's only people who are not self-employed, because people outside the US don't have to really use their workplace as their primary conduit for medical care. And if you're self-employed, a lot of stuff that goes into this doesn't really, your whole situation is different. So jump that stuff out. If you really want to see a little bit more about it, you can go to that link. Have fun with that. So, there's a few different things that I'll show you, and the first one of the questions we asked was, do you feel that your employer takes mental health as seriously as physical health? And so half of them said yes. I guess half, that's okay. Quarter of them said no, distinctively no. They do not take it as seriously, and 25% said don't know. Do you think that discussing a health issue with your employer will result in negative consequences? Well, let's compare physical and mental. And physical, no, 77%, and that I think reflects the kind of answers that we gave here. Over 3/4 said, no, I don't think so. Maybe 20%. You only have 4% who felt that, oh yes, definitely, if I discussed a physical health issue with my employer, it would have negative consequences. Let's compare that to mental health. No was only barely 1/3. Yes, convinced was 23%. Maybe, and maybe was 40%, 2/5. I think that is a stark contrast. And remember, in the context of this is the largest cause of disability in North America. And people are afraid to talk about it. Would you bring up a health issue with a potential employer in an interview? Physical? No, 44%. Probably not going to, a lot of people would lead with that. One of the things that I always think about this when it comes up, a lot of women, despite the fact that it's illegal to do so, aren't going to disclose that they're thinking about getting pregnant or are pregnant or anything like that, because there's a very good chance they're not going to get the job. That's just likely. It's very hard to kind of to regulate that. So it doesn't surprise me that half of them, maybe 44% might bring something. Yes, 12. That's not really high. But let's compare the no to the mental. No. God, no. It's terrifying to people. Terrifying to people. Tell me when you're done taking this picture so I can go to the next slide. Okay. Wait, you weren't done yet? I'm going to post them. All this stuff. So, do you know the options for mental health care that your employer provides? Yes, 40%, that's pretty good. Over half don't know. Not sure, I don't know, that's basically a no. Don't know. Again, this is the #1 cause of disability in North America. Over half don't know what their employer provides. Does your employer provide resources to learn more about mental health issues and how to seek help? No, almost 2/5 don't know, which kind of seems like a no. Only 1/4. Only 1/4. Is your anonymity protected if you choose to take advantage of mental health substance abuse treatment resources? Yes, 30%. Hell, I don't know. Why would you take advantage of it then? I've heard horror stories. I was giving this talk at a brown bag at Mental Health America in Lafayette, Indiana, around where I live. And a woman came up to me and said, she told me about an incident where, this was not in tech, but she told me about an incident where a boss came up to her and he was ranting about stuff to everybody. And it was like going off on this, basically being an asshole anyway. He was sounding like a total dick. And he went to her and looked at her and said, and don't think I don't know that you go to counseling. How was she punished for dealing with this? How easy is it for you to take medical leave for a mental health condition? Some of it maybe doesn't come up, but I know it comes up for me. I deal with stuff where I have to be like, I need to stop, I need to take a break. Way more than I get like a cold. That happens to be way more often. There's some small amounts of very easy green. Hey, 30%. That's great. I'm glad everybody will talk somewhat easy. 18%. I hear a lot of people just lie and say that they, I'm not feeling well. That's what they do. A lot of people have told me that anecdotally. Over half, no idea. You know why? Because we don't talk about it. We don't know if it's okay. We don't know if we'll be punished. We don't know if we'll be thought of as lazy. You don't look sick. Sick workers don't work. You're a supervisor here. Or you have any kind of impact on that. People who are sick do not work or are far less productive. That's what disease burden talks about. #1 cause in North America. 41% of the people in the U.S. with a mental disorder received professional help in the last year. Only 41%. Now if we're just talking about depression, something I deal with, but that's a sort of not my primary diagnosis, but it's something I've dealt with a lot. Half the people who seek help with depression wait 8 years or more. So that's saying 8 years of suffering with that illness, that they have not gotten help. And there is help. That's the thing people don't realize. There is help, especially for those of us who are blessed to be in a position where we can seek out help. We have the resources to seek out help. Most of us are probably in an okay financial position. I'm not saying we're rich. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying we're probably okay. Most of us don't get help. The longer the delay, the more difficult recovery is. And one of the things to remember is that people with mental health problems are more likely to seek help if someone close to them suggests it. That means that if somebody talks about it openly, if in their social structure somebody suggests that hey, you can go get help for this, it's okay, they're more likely to do it. There's a key thing I want to talk about. It's called mental health first aid. I've taken this in the US. It's usually an 8-hour course. It's in 23 different countries. In the US, it's an 8-hour course. I pay $50 to do it. I think this is the single biggest thing you can do. You don't need to go and become take a bunch of classes, go to night school or anything like that. What it does is that it teaches you to, one, identify if someone is in a mental health crisis, and two, how to react to that. And even if they're not in a crisis, the steps you can take to seek help and help them seek help. Identify resources, be encouraging to them, the kinds of language you want to use, and things like that. I've been dealing with mental health issues I identified when I was 13, so 26 years. I learned a ton from this, There's a lot of good information from this. And it is super cheap. I know in some places, like I think in New York City, it is free to take. I've heard from a few different people who live there. And I gotta tell you, you're gonna use this way more than traditional first aid. Not that that's a bad idea. It's very important that you learn how to, blow into people's mouths and, cave their chest in and stuff like that. That stuff is important. That is not important. Not that it's not important. It's important. And it's good to know. 20% of the people around you are dealing with this right now. And are you in a position to try to help them? Probably not, because nobody talks about it. Nobody's talking about it. So within the context of this, of say the workplace that you work in, the workplace of tech, is it a safe place for you to talk about this stuff in your workplace right now? If it's not, that's a damn problem. I guarantee you most of the places, most people right here would probably say they're not sure at best. Because it's really scary. So the reason people don't get help is because it's scary. Because they think that they're going to be punished for trying to get help for something, even though there is help available. And one more thing, and I'll get to the end of this. There's this thing, if you look at ACT UP New York in the 80s, during the AIDS crisis, they came up with a slogan, you saw it on signs probably if you were around during then, called "Silence Equals Death." And they had this on signs protesting. A lot of people didn't talk about HIV and they didn't talk about AIDS, and people were suffering and dying for no reason. And the mortality is not the same, and I'm not going to try to make comparisons between those things because they're not. But I believe strongly that the silence that we have, the stigma that we have, is why so many people continue to suffer with this, continue to not seek help, and sometimes take their lives, sometimes lose their lives, and generally suffer because of it. And we fight that by talking about it. Because when we talk about it, and we don't hide, and we're not ashamed, and we're not scared, or we fight that fear, and we be stronger than that fear, that is how we get to a place where it's okay to talk about this. Because that fear, that shame, is what divides us and disconnects us, and we need those connections. We need that social support to go out and seek these things out. So what I need is your help, and I need your help. I'm talking about this within the tech community. I'm talking about this within open source developer communities. And that's where I work because that's my community. But I need your help with this, and I need you to talk about this. I need you to share this, and I need you to learn more about it. So if anything that I've said here has meant something, has touched something, has made you think, any of these URLs or these messages or these words, just please do it now. I want you to talk or email or tweet or post or talk to people at your workplace or talk to people in your social group about it and do something with it and to try to change this so that people don't have to suffer in silence and don't have to deal with this without any help because they're suffering unnecessarily. I know I did for a long time. And you don't have to. It's not easy, but you don't have to do this, and we're not alone. So thanks for listening. Funktalk.com/OSMI, that's where you can find all these talks. OSMI.health.org is kind of the same thing, but it posts some things. We basically don't have any more time, so I'll wrap it up here. If you want to talk to me afterwards, just ask a question. Totally cool. And thanks for listening. I appreciate it.